Slog for the Blood God.
Alrighty guys, we've got a really exciting quick update here. The Lord Invocatus datasheet has been revealed to us. Now we're not 100% sure if this is real or fake, so take it with a grain of salt, but it looks pretty convincing to me, and it is in line with the rumours that we've seen so far. So basically he's got a 12-inch move, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength, toughness 6, wounds 8, 7 attacks, leadership 9, and interestingly a 2+ armor save. And then basically for his war gear, he's got frag and crack grenades, and then the melee weapons below. He's got a weapon called Coward's Bane as well, which is a really cool name for a weapon. So he's got a bolt pistol. Coward's Bane is a melee weapon that's strength user, so it'll be strength 6, strength 7 on the charge if the rumors for the new Legion trait are true. AP 3, 2 damage. And each time an attack is made with this weapon, invulnerable saving throws cannot be made against that attack. So this is pretty strong. AP 3, ignoring invulnerable saves, and if Armor of Contempt is gone, that's going to make this guy a real blender in combat. And then further to that, he's got the Juggernaut's Bladed Horn, which is another melee weapon. It's strength 6, AP 2, or strength 7 on the charge, AP 2, 1 damage, and each time he fights he makes 3 additional attacks. So he's gone in with 7 attacks plus these 3 plus 1 more from being a World Eater. So he's gone in with 11 attacks, which is pretty cool, most of which is striking at 2 damage. Then he's got a few abilities here which are quite interesting. He's got the Blood Tithe, Warp Strike. So Warp Strike will be a standard deep strike mechanic. We don't know much about the Blood Tithe yet, but one will assume that it's when you kill units, you generate Blood Tithe points, and you can use them to do things like buff your army or summon Angron. He's got a Sigil of Corruption for a 4-up invulnerable save. And this one's interesting. He has Leading the Charge Aura. While a friendly World Eater's core unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time it is selected to make a normal move, advance, until the end of the phase, add 2 to the movement characteristic of that unit. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got a Warlord trait here, which this is an interesting way of formatting it. We haven't really seen this before. But it basically says, if this model is your Warlord, it has the following Warlord trait. Read of 8 bloody steps. At the start of the battle round, before the first turn begins, you can select up to 2 friendly World Eaters core units from your army within 9 inches of this Warlord. This unit and the selected units can make a normal move. So interestingly, this is in the first battle round before the first turn begins. So it's not done during a phase, which means that the Leading the Charge aura wouldn't apply here, right? Because the Leading of the Charge is every time a unit makes a normal move or advance until the end of the phase, add 2 to the move characteristic. So even though the Warlord trait will allow you to make a normal move, since it's not done during a phase, I would believe that that wouldn't apply. But already we're probably going to need an FAQ on that, because, you know, the Leading the Charge aura does say when they make a normal move, they can do the thing. So, not 100% sure what's going to happen there. Then we've got some faction keywords. We've got Chaos, Khorne, Heretic Astartes, Butchers Astartes, and World Eaters. And then his regular keywords are Cavalry, Character, Demon, Fly, and Lord Invocatus. So this will be interesting. Given that he's Cavalry with Fly, there's some interesting ways that this will work. It'll basically mean that you can move over walls, move over enemy models, that sort of thing in your movement phase. In the charge phase, you can charge over enemy models. But one thing about charging with non-infantry, even if they have the Fly keyword, if they aren't infantry or beasts or swarms, they actually can't charge over building walls. So specifically terrain pieces. So if there's somebody who's got a building in their list, you can, because it's a model in somebody's army, you can charge over it. But pieces of terrain like ruins and stuff like that, you know, your competitive tournament L-shaped ruins and stuff, those you actually can't charge over unless you have the infantry or beasts key or swarm keyword. So that'll be interesting. It sounds like this guy might actually be quite easy to sort of screen out. The rumors were saying that he had fly or a fly-like ability. I was hoping that he was going to have something more akin to the Harlequins, which just says, you know, when making a move, charge move, or whatever, other models and terrain are ignored, you know, and vertical distances are ignored. If it was something like that, well, then he'd be able to charge straight through walls. But because it's just the fly keyword, same way that like a bloodthirster or something like that, if your opponent's on the other side of a wall, you have to, you know, you can move over it, but if you want to charge, you have to go around. So that's interesting. It'll depend on how many points this guy's worth as to whether or not he's going to be a strong candidate. It will be interesting to see those Khorne Berserkers getting a pre-game move, or even the 8-bound if they've got a longer move characteristic. You know, they're rumoured to have a 9-inch move, so imagine them getting it's depending on if they have core, of course, but imagine them getting a pre-game move of 9, then this guy moves up near them, so that they're within that aura, so then they're moving another 11, so they've moved 20 inches turn 1, so they're 4 inches away from the enemy deployment zone, and then they can go in for turn 1 charges. That will be pretty spicy. That'll force your opponent to deploy deep in their own backfield to try to prevent those turn 1 charges. Or Khorne Berserkers moving 6 inches pre-game, and then, you know, in that first turn, moving another 8, so they'll be moving 14 inches, so they'll be 10 inches away, which, you know, if it's true that we have access to a stratagem for 3d6 drop the lowest for charges, it's not unrealistic to think that you might get a 10-inch charge. Maybe if you throw a couple of units forward so you get a couple of goes at it, have a CP in the pocket for a reroll. Yeah, it's not unlikely to think that you might get a turn 1 charge with foot-slogging Berserkers as well. So there's some interesting stuff there. Let me know what you guys think of this new guy in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Look for the blood god.
The Warhammer community suffers from some of the most prohibitively expensive essentials in the world, especially Australian content creators. Every single day, Dean wants to create content, but he can't. Suffering from old, worn-out brushes, expensive model kits, and costly software and equipment, he can't endure much longer. Just look at this dirty paint water. Would you drink this? Would you let your child? Even a small monthly donation can help provide Dean with clean paint water, basic tools for survival, and access to life-saving information and education. So please, follow the links in the description below and find out how you can sponsor a mad cunt like Dean today and end the suffering. Suffering that is cruel, unsustainable, and your fault.
Do your objective markers ever get lost behind terrain or other models and become difficult to see? Do they ever get bumped and accidentally moved during a game? And do they ever spark arguments about distances? Well, not anymore. Introducing the blog for the blood god, not even remotely patented neoprene objective markers. Made from the same material as astronaut suits, or maybe military equipment, or probably neither of those things, this 2mm thick neoprene synthetic rubber is tear resistant, water resistant, and is designed to last. But that's not all. The blog for the blood god, not even remotely patented neoprene objective markers come in a variety of different designs and styles to suit any faction represented in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. These objective markers are a perfect gift for yourself or a friend, and are a perfect way to flex and show your opponent that not only are you a smarter, cooler, and better 40k player than them, but you also have more disposable income than they do. For the low price of $25, you'll get not 1, not 2, but 6 neoprene objective markers, perfectly designed for 9th edition Warhammer 40k. But wait, there's more. For a limited time only, people who sign up on Patreon to support Blog for the Blood God as a Skull Champion tier $5 per month member will gain access to a custom design service where I will design a unique logo to support their gaming club, like the one I did to the left here for the Potato Farmers local gaming club here in Melbourne. Follow the links in the description of this video to pick up your set today.